This is the March 18th special meeting of the Montgomery Independent School District Board of Trustees. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Ms. Alcantara, are there any registered public comments? There are no registered public comments. The board will go into closed session for the reasons listed on our agenda, and we will return shortly.
Because we have the GT coordinator contract on it also. Administrative
Contract
and
GT.
professional.
Okay, got it. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us. We are returning from the closed session tonight. Board members, I would like to make a motion. I'd like to approve administrative and professional contracts as presented in closed session. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? That motion carries. Folks, that concludes the special meeting. This is the March 18th regular meeting of the Montgomery Independent School District Board of Trustees. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Heavenly Father, we ask that you guide this board, guide our administrative team, and we ask that you continue to bless our town with the abundance that you have given us. As we turn to spring, Father, we look to all the wonderful blessings you have given us, and we ask that you continue to see through the work that we're doing in your Son's holy name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. All right. Again, thank you for joining us tonight, folks. Dr. Ruffin, do we have any special recognitions or presentations?
Sure do. Mr. Marino, who you got for us tonight? I see some singers back there.
Good evening, board, Dr. Ruffin. This weekend we had a birthday, a very special birthday. Montgomery ISD turned 100 years old on March 16th. I have to say Montgomery ISD looks pretty good for 100. So we have some posters around the room from our campuses to celebrate, and we have a few special recognitions and speakers tonight to share a little bit of history about our school district. But first, we wanted to invite the Lake Creek High School Chamber Choir for a performance. They recently finished first. I'm sorry, Mr. Carnley, I'll probably butcher this. They finished first in the mixed division choir. Did I get that right?
He's
All right.
shaking his head, yes.
For the first time in school history. That's a huge achievement. So we definitely want to recognize that. So at this time, I'll invite Mr. Carnley and the chamber choir up for a performance. And board, if you want to come out here, take an open seat so you can better enjoy it, that would be awesome.
Why you bring your phone? You take a picture? I know, right?
All right, good evening, y'all. So we're going to sing two pieces for you tonight. The first one is the piece that we opened our set with at the Apple Festival competition. This is called Vision Chant, and it was inspired by Native American tribes. had a little special song for them as well. Thank you, guys.
Good stuff. Good job.
Gang, that was wonderful. Y'all sound amazing. I spoke to the two ladies sitting in front of me, and I think I was getting winded for them because they only breathed like twice that whole time. So y'all sound great. One more round of applause for them, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Ruffin, anything else?
We're going to continue with the celebrations.
There are countless, hundreds of individuals who have made Montgomery ISD what it is today. And all year long, we'll be celebrating Montgomery ISD and the individuals that have made it such an incredible place to live through videos and social media posts and recognitions in the community. And this video is just a quick preview of a few of the amazing folks that will be featured through the Centennial recognition.
Happy birthday, Montgomery ISD!
Happy birthday, Montgomery ISD.
Happy birthday, Montgomery ISD.
Happy birthday, ISD!
Happy 100th birthday, Montgomery ISD.
Happy birthday, Montgomery ISD.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Montgomery ISD.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Montgomery ISD.
And Dr. Ruffin and board, absolutely one of the individuals who I guarantee if you ask them who is a special person in the history of Montgomery ISD, most people would say Miss Brenda Bevan. And she is here to give a little bit of history about the school district and present a document that details the land transaction to purchase a location for our first school in 1925.
Miss Bevan, can I say one thing before you start? Yes. You probably know what it's going to be, but I'm going to say that too. So that video y'all just watched, and every video that we do in Montgomery ISD is produced, it's that little lady sitting behind those two monitors over there. Miss Teal, will you stand up real quick? This lady's phenomenal, and she does such a great job with these things. So thank you, Miss Teal. So my favorite middle school teacher is here, like my middle school teacher. Not from there. Tasceta Middle School.
So when I heard he was coming, I actually called Miss Berlin and said, I think, and she said, you taught him. And I said, I did teach him. And so on his first day over at Montgomery Junior High, I walked down. I said, I think I was your Texas history teacher. And you looked at me and you said, Mrs. Bevan, you were my Texas history teacher. So that was pretty neat. And I saw Dr. Say over the weekend, and he said congratulations to you. And Dr. Say is the superintendent of schools when you were in school, And also, in addition to that, he said he was 38 years old when he became the superintendent of Humble ISD, and he wanted me to tell you that too. So it was kind of fun talking to him. So I have been in this district on and off because I retired and then I rehired and then I retired and then I rehired and then I retired. So I've been here for 26 years on and off, and this has been a great district. The history of the town is what helps to make this district such a great district. And luckily, because of all of the support from the superintendents that we've had on down to all the board members, keeping the history alive of the town of Montgomery and putting it into part of our history of our school district. And if you'll notice, all the schools are named. So you have Lone Star Elementary. They're either named after the geography of the area or after the history. And Lake Creek High School, for any of you who are left from Lake Creek High School, that was part of the original name of Montgomery. So just to let you know, there does have history to it. So why I'm here, and also there are members here of the Historical Society who also showed up to do this presentation. First of all, this document was given to me and to be taken care of, and I did, and it was scanned into Sam Houston's archives, so it will always be protected. The original one was in bad shape, so they made a copy, and this is it. If you look at it carefully, you can see some of the original names of the Landrum family, the Connor family, the Davis family, and the Price family, which is, all of these are names that many of you are familiar with, and they are also listed here. This is dated 1848. So Montgomery is celebrating its 100th birthday, but in 1848, the very first example of education in Montgomery was on that date. And this shows the purchase of the land in order to build Montgomery Academy. So, and that was a long time ago. So, and that's, so if you get a chance to come up here and take a look at it, I would appreciate it. So, thank you.
And in further celebration, we have some students who, at the rodeo, the Houston Rodeo Livestock, my favorite thing is to go look at the art, and I love seeing Montgomery ISD displayed at the rodeo. So we have some winners of the rodeo art contest to celebrate. So I'm going to ask Carrie Fitzpatrick to introduce Miss Suttles from Keenan Elementary.
Good evening. I have been gifted the opportunity to introduce somebody that I have had the opportunity to grow very close to the last couple of years in our work together. Not only is she an amazing individual, but she is truly a teacher extraordinaire. When you walk into her classroom, it's not only about art, but it is truly about learning and discovering. It is my pleasure to introduce Amy Suttles, the art teacher at Keenan Elementary. As the fearless leader of our elementary art team, she is going to share some very exciting celebrations that our MISD students have recently celebrated.
Hello, good evening. I never had Miss Bevan as a teacher either, but she's really my favorite as well. She's been in my classroom when I used to teach in regular ed, and I had her come in and she was telling all these great stories about the history of Montgomery, so she's wonderful. I love her. That was a good pick. I would like to have all of the students and their teachers and their families come on up if they want to. And then while they're heading up, I just want to tell you all a little bit about the Houston. Thank you. Oh, I'm in charge of this. Okay. Just as I go? Okay. We have been participating in the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo since 2018. We love it because it separates elementary, junior high, and high school categories. Elementary is allowed to have 10 pieces, and that's for all 7 elementaries. We can only have 10 pieces come in. And then for secondary, it is 20 pieces. So these were our winners this year, and we have such amazing talent in our school district. These will be displayed at the Hayloft at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo until the end of the month, and then I'll go pick those up. I think the plan is to have these pieces of art displayed at the Montgomery District Art Show next month. And on that note, I really hope that everyone is able to come out. I believe it's April 26th from 10 to 12. We're going to have food trucks. And the kids, you'll be able to see so many beautiful pieces of art from such talented artists. So we'll go ahead and get started. Our first winner, Aurora Anderson from Lone Star Elementary. So Aurora won a gold medal. This is her piece here. Her teacher is Stacy Seelbach. Where's Stacy at? Hi. Aurora, are you Aurora? Oh, hi. Okay. It's a beautiful piece. Next. Okay, I was told to say this as an Italian. Angelina, don't tell me. Okay. Napoleano. Did I get it right? Oh, Napolitano. I knew I was going to butcher. Dadgum. Okay. She is Montgomery Elementary. Her teacher is Ashley Shook. And she won Best in Show, which is she gets this wonderful, beautiful, really heavy trophy. And out of thousands of pieces, she was one of our Blue Ribbon winners. So congratulations. Next. Hannah Gomez from Montgomery Junior High. So Hannah won the Blue Ribbon, which is yet another really big trophy. The junior high pieces that we had this year were just really unbelievable. Mr. Yates does a phenomenal job, and every piece that he submitted this year was stunning. Claire Wright. Claire Wright, where are you? Hi, Claire. Claire is from Montgomery Junior High. She got a gold medal. Again, these pieces were phenomenal. You would think that a high schooler had done these. They were gorgeous. Paige Fitzsimmons. Where's Paige? Hi, I didn't realize I was sitting right next to you. Okay. Montgomery High School won Best in Show. And so she also received one of these lovely trophies. Her teachers are Susanna Stout and Laura Page Kerner. And Gracelyn Skelton. And where's Gracelyn at? So was this your grandfather? Oh, wow. That's a beautiful piece. So she won a gold medal, and she did this really beautiful sketch of her grandfather, which was really cool. Again, her teachers are Susanna Stout and Laura Page Kerner. Okay, that was it. But they did a phenomenal job. I can't wait until next year, and I really hope that you guys are able to make it to our district art show next month. Thank you. Let me leave this here. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah, we'll take it. Yes, you did. You're fine. Okay. Awesome. Everybody get them? Okay. Artists, y'all can leave. Trustees, stay where you are. We're going to bring the
across the street. Thank you, that was so kind. Oh my gosh. And if y'all just want to fill in right where the artists were, you can just go right in their spot. Got it? Here we go. Let me get my purse.
Did you enjoy battling Dr. Ruff? Nate went to the restroom. Dr. Ruffin, are there any additional special recognitions?
There are none. I was going to say, when it comes to our art teachers, one of the most exciting things I get to do is be on our campuses and go into these classrooms and, like Ms. Shook back there, walk into her room and you cannot be excited to be in that classroom. Ms. Suttles that just came and spoke. I've got an 8-year-old that wants to ride bulls, play baseball, and work cows for a living. That's all he ever wants to do. And he came home in the summertime and said, I want to go to art camp. Art camp? These teachers pull in and pull on kids' interests that don't even know they exist. And so I just am so appreciative of the work that they do, and I want to say thank y'all for that. But no, that's it.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, folks, moving on from special recognitions, we do have a registered public comment tonight. So, if you give me just a second. For public comments tonight, we thank you for registering to speak to the board this evening. So that everyone has an opportunity to speak, we ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. There are a limited number of instances in which the board can respond to anyone making public comment. We cannot take any votes or actions based upon public comments, and we ask that you please keep comments respectful and focused on the topic that you registered to speak. I would like to call Mr. Jason Giroud of Montgomery to the podium to speak on House Bill 3, School Voucher Bill.
Good evening, members of the school board. I'm here tonight as a concerned parent watching as our public education system faces another threat. House Bill 3, the School Voucher Bill, is currently being debated by our legislature, and its consequences could be devastating for our schools, our teachers, and most importantly, our children. To quickly summarize, the bill would place taxpayer dollars into the education savings accounts, allowing some students access to public funds for private school tuition, books, and other expenses. While this may provide a choice for some families, the reality is that it will drain funding from public schools, leaving them underfunded and unable to provide an education that every child deserves. The experiences of other states have made it clear what happens when the public dollars are diverted to private institutions. Public schools suffer, especially in low and middle income communities where access to private schools and access to the tuition for private schools remains out of reach. Beyond immediate financial harm, this bill poses a long-term threat to the stability of the teacher retirement system. As budgets shrink, school districts are forced to cut staff, fewer teachers and employees will be paying into the system. And even TRS Executive Director Brian Guthrie has already voiced serious concerns about these vouchers and how they could destabilize the pension fund, creating uncertainty for those who have dedicated their careers to our schools. While we don't know yet exactly how hard TRS will be hit, the risk is undeniable. Despite having adequate funds available, state leaders have refused to increase school funding, effectively forcing districts into financial strain. I've been attending these school board meetings for a long time, and I've seen firsthand how hard this board works to navigate the state's lack of support. And yet, rather than providing real solutions, legislators continue to push an agenda that undermines our schools while offering no real benefit to the majority of Texas students. Let me be clear, these vouchers are unpopular in Texas. I've spoken to many parents, educators, and community members who are deeply worried about what this means for the future of public education in the state. This isn't just a policy debate, it's about the future of our children and about the stability of our communities. I urge the school board to take a firm stand against these vouchers. Be the advocates that our students and teachers need. Recognize that this policy would harm student success, destabilize employment, and further erode trust in public education system. And most importantly, please don't align yourselves with the legislators who are pushing this harmful agenda. If we hear strong words against the vouchers from the board members, but then we see photos of them smiling alongside those who seek to dismantle public education, it will come across as a betrayal. With the school board elections around the corner, we want to know that our school board represents us, the families and educators who depend upon our public schools. Even if the bill passes, knowing that the school board stood in defense of public education will mean everything. Now is not the time for pleasantries or small disagreements. Now it's time to take a stand. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Drew. Board members, we'll move now to consent agenda. Is there a board member that wishes to pull a consent agenda item for discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion on consent agenda? Thank you, Mr. Cameron. Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. Nguyen. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Consent agenda carries. Action items. Action item 6A, consider approval of CTE Ag Science Center name as presented.
All right, Mr. Marino.
Popular tonight. I've been waiting 3.5 years for this moment. Reflecting back when we first initially had conversations about the 2022 bond and CTE being a huge component of it. It was just a thought, and now that we see the buildings coming in and we're recommending names, it just really goes full circle, and we're really excited for this evening and this next step in this important process to opening these buildings. So like every building opening and naming a building, we have a process. We formed a committee in January. The committee was about 25 folks that reflected both feeder patterns. They met twice to develop a recommendation. We put out a district-wide survey, and we're bringing those recommendations to you tonight. On the committee were parents from Lake Creek and Montgomery High School. We had 4 students who were absolutely incredible. Just can't understate that enough. They added so much value to that work. We had district-level employees and campus principal from each feeder pattern and members of our bond subcommittee of our board. And we had an assistant principal and CTE teachers from each high school participate on the committee. First meeting, we went through the site design of both buildings to just give them some context on what would be featured within the buildings and sort of the layout of the whole complex and each facility. We reviewed board policy. There are guidelines within the board policy that spell out how buildings in Montgomery ISD are to be named. And then we participated in a thought exchange. It's a program we have to get input from community and staff. We asked them sort of what themes would be important for them in the names of the facilities. We put out a district-wide survey from February 21st through March 2nd that asked for input from the community on the themes and values they wanted to see in the names of the buildings, and we asked for recommendations. That's also a part of our board policy is to collect input from the community on a name for the facility and why. So we followed the policy in that regard. The second meeting of the committee on March 6th, we reviewed the input collected through the district-wide survey, looked at all the names. Our program that we use, Thought Exchange, allows us to pull out what were the most recommended names through the survey. We had a discussion. Each member of the committee had an opportunity to share their thoughts, reflections of what they saw in the survey, and make a recommendation and state their cases on why they recommended that name. And then we held it to a vote, just a traditional vote. And for both, we landed on a recommendation for both buildings, but also for the entire complex, which is really exciting. The vote for all three was majority. If you took the rest of the recommendations, the votes didn't add up to what the majority vote was. So, for the Montgomery ISD CTE Center, the recommendation is the Montgomery ISD Career and Technical Education Center. For the Ag Science Center, the recommendation is the Montgomery ISD Agricultural Science Center. And those the entire complex, it was recommended to be referred to as the DEN, Discover, Explore, Navigate. The names of the two buildings that we're recommending reflect the feedback in the survey. Those were the two most recommended names in our community survey. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions about this process.
Board members, any questions?
I just want to make one comment. Being on that committee, the thing that really resonated with me and stuck out with me is when the name got thrown out there for the den, the four students, the high school students, it just, their eyes lit up. And to be able to have a place that they can just go to, that they say, we're going to the den, they've just resonated with it. And they were all four, the two from Montgomery High School and two from Lake Creek High School. They just couldn't quit they talked about it all night long. They just wouldn't quit. So that was probably just seeing their input and seeing how they resonated, and to think that that's how the rest of their fellow classmates at both campuses will think about it as well. It was pretty inspiring.
I just want to say thank you for going through this process. I'm so glad that we have a process in place to follow each time we have a facility that's going to open that we need to name. And I love that you gather so much information from so many people across the community and in our schools, so that they feel that ownership when we name this.
So is that the official logo?
Got taken down. This is an initial branding concept. We're still working on finalizing the branding concepts for both buildings, but we wanted to share this tonight to get everybody excited about the name for the complex.
Can you elaborate on, I was also a part of this committee, so I know the answer, but can you elaborate on how we got to that name?
Sure. We discussed naming both buildings, and they were traditional conservative names that were recommended by not only through the survey, but this group agreed. But we wanted something that was, like Eddie mentioned, something exciting for the kids and the community. Sort of talk about where we're going to the den. So we looked at possibilities for an acronym. You know, an acronym was something that was brought up by the committee in the first meeting as having a meaningful acronym that we talk about as an exciting meeting place, or somewhere that's, we brand it. And so we came up with the den because we have bears and we have lions, and the bear's den, the lion's den, and we came up with the words discover, explore, navigate as, just as words that talk about, looking at career opportunities and discovering opportunities post high school and into the college or career, and exploring different different avenues post high school, and then getting with possible employers to navigate futures. So those words really resonated with everybody on the committee, and it was really exciting to see the students sort of jump at that and start advocating for it when it was brought up as an idea.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, hearing none, is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to consider approval of the CT and Ag Science Center name as presented.
All right, thank you, Mr. Nguyen. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Robb. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, that carries unanimously. Thank you for all the hard work that has gone into naming this world-class facility. All right, information items. 7A, employee benefits.
All right, so first I want to give a shout out to Ms. Siobhan Johnson out there, who is in our HR department and coordinates all of our benefits. And it's not an easy job, but we've got Mr. John Ledbetter here with us to talk about our benefits. Trustees, it's something that we really have to remain cognizant of, because if you want to think about the rising costs that we've faced with inflation and the bills we have to pay as a district, unfortunately, our employees continue to face rising costs in their healthcare benefits. I've got friends of mine that are in the private sector, and when they complain about their health care, what their premiums are and things like this, I said, well, listen what ours are. And they are shocked and blown away. And unfortunately, Mr. Ledbetter will get into it with more detail. It's just something we really need to be cognizant of and make sure that we're doing absolutely everything we can for our employees to get them in the best position possible. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Ruffin. John Ledbetter, Higginbotham. I've partnered with Montgomery ISD since 2009 as your benefits consultant. My team partners with Siobhan Nolan's team and Denise's team to come out and deliver education, enrollment services, put together the complete benefit package that your employees walk through during open enrollment. Open enrollment goes into live active enrollment goes into action July, and it goes into effect September 1. And so all the benefits your employees elect go into effect September 1. That's the plan year. This is a Blue Cross Blue Shield medical report for just medical, with medical and pharmacy together inside. You'll see on the cover, it runs a period of the start date of September 1 through February. And so I just wanted to highlight that, because during this just brief insight overview, you're going to see the September 1 through February compared to prior year. So on some of the pages that we'd like for you to look at, page 4, if you look at that top bracket of medical subscribers, 804, that's been your employee count that enroll into the medical out of all your employees, about close to 800. And that was the average last plan year as well. Total members with spouses and children, 1,300, close to 1,400. If you go down to the bottom, if you follow the yellow highlights, enrollment by tier, you'll see there's just one small little light blue line, and that's employee plus spouse. So very few employees add their spouse, because the cost is close to $900 or $1,100 for the options for you to select if you want to just add your spouse only. So spouses in all of Texas, in most of all the school districts we work in, the percentage is extremely low because of the cost for spouses to add them to the medical plan. You'll see the gender. It is heavily weighted towards the female gender, and that's really the average across the state. We work in 550 school districts. So when I reference the state, we have a pretty good understanding of the enrollment and the ages and the demographics. You'll see an average age. I thought, sometimes the data points might not mean anything to the medical itself, but it's good to understand where your employees, the age brackets, and where they average out, and I think it's good to know the enrollment as well. If you turn to page 6, this is the financial summary page. I highlighted group liability breakdown. That is going to show you from a medical paid claims and pharmacy paid from September 2023 to February 2024. So the same set of months of last plan year to this plan year, you see an increase. And that is the trend. You're going to see in all the numbers, if you were to compare what it was last plan year to this plan year, just the trend itself is going up in cost. Claims cost, could be inflation, definitely is having an impact to medical claims as well. And that's not related to your employees going out of network. So when I look at dental claims and I look at vision claims, they are extremely high. And they're high because a majority of employees choose to go out of network. So you're not, the claim is not a contracted rate. So you have to pay more for those claims that go out of network. Dentists and eye doctors charge more and they don't want to take the network, right? Because they have to reduce their cost and what they receive. But with Blue Cross Blue Shield in your plans, 2 of them, the majority of employees are enrolled in the HMOs, so there is no out-of-network coverage. There's only one option, which is the high deductible option, which is a PPO. And so I just want you to kind of resonate with that as you kind of see claims. And then if you look at the medical and pharmacy loss ratio page, page 7, you almost could land on this page. And this is the trend, and it was the trend last year. When the first year we implemented Blue Cross Blue Shield for September 1 of 2023, that the claim loss ratio runs higher than the premiums. And so technically last year, we ended up at the end of August 31st of 2024, the loss ratio was 127%. And Blue Cross wanted to pass a rate increase of 35%. But we had negotiated when we initiated the contract with Denise and Siobhan, and when we were finalizing it, a 10.5% rate cap in year 2. So Blue Cross could not raise the rates higher than 10.5% based on the contract. When you look at the medical claims, so if you look at the columns by month from March of 2024 to February, and you look at your monthly premium, it's $500,000, and it went up in September to what? $550,000. So it went up 10%. That's where your 10% is. It added $50,000 to the premium per month. But the claims you'll see with medical and pharmacy adding up in the total paid exceeds that in most of the months. Now, there can be a little bit of a rainbow, a little bit of a light that you see. And in February, your claims came down to 74%. And so that is a positive that Siobhan and I have been really hoping to see, is maybe a little trend down in the claims. That will help, okay? I highlighted, and you can scan through this at your leisure, there's a lot of information in it, but just to kind of keep it based on the medical claims expenses, page number 10, the expense distribution. This highlights paid claims, how many claims are less than $200, and how many total claimants. And so that first set of brackets up in the top is less than 200, all the way down to 30,000 to 50,000, where you're starting to get into a high cost claim, okay? And when you're looking at your medical, really medical, not dental, medical, you're looking at high cost claims, the ones that start to hit 50,000 and above. Those are the ones that you focus in on from an underwriter perspective and an actuary. They're looking at the high cost claims, and they're looking at the specialty drugs. Because if you look at your 1,000 claimants in that first bracket, they're a total of 56% of your claims. Majority of them are under 1,000, 863. So your medical is wide open for employees to receive any prescription and any medical service. It doesn't have any exclusions to it, maybe other than if you wanted to get plastic surgery or something that's not medically necessary, okay? So that's why we have a medical plan. It doesn't exclude anybody, no matter what their condition. And so it's an all for one and a one for all. And that's what you have to buy into. And maybe that's my opinion of it, as a group. If you look at the bottom category, what does it tell you? 8 members equal 43% of the claims. And that's not abnormal. So you're not seeing anything that's just Montgomery ISD. The state is self-funded. You're not self-funded. You're fully insured. You're not exposed to any risk. Okay? And the state itself, TRS, sees the same trends and sees the same high cost claims. Because the cost of insurance is continually increasing. And the treatments that are available for all of us are so advanced that the cost of those treatments are increasing. There's another page, if you were to turn I want to take you to page 19. Some of you might not have that page. This is for you guys, just page 19. It shows you specialty drugs. And it shows you the green, how that bar on the green has gone from the blue bar has increased. And so the insight to this report is there's a little bit of hope that February ran at 74%, but the plan from last year continues into this year where the claims are running hot. So our goal, and we've met in a timeline, would be we want one more month of claims. And the goal is to see claims through March. And then we go out to bid, and we have a bid timeline where I put out a bid on the market. And we send it out to all the top carriers. Any program that has a program available for you to possibly join. We bring assemble those results that meet your criteria as a school district. And we review those and we bring it down to some finalists that would be an option. Because we don't have the Blue Cross renewal. Blue Cross can wait until June to provide us a renewal. And that's just the control they have. You can't force them to give you a renewal. They have to give it to you within 45 days of the plan year starting. And so we will go out to bid is the plan that we've set in place, and we will hopefully March's claims will see a positive number, a low number, which will give actuaries and underwriters an opportunity to get aggressive and give us some better options than what Blue Cross's renewal could be. But I want to say this, your employees, they can go, the network, they go to their providers, and so we would not compromise on where they can go and how they have to seek treatment, where they have to call and get approval and things like that. We've experienced that before. So we know that this model has been a very successful model where employees don't have to make phone calls to get approval to be able to go have a surgery or something like that. So we will be looking at a very similar model with United Healthcare, with Cigna, with some platforms out there that are pooled programs, but they don't have risk on any of the member districts. So there's some avenues we can look at. And that's what I had to share today, unless I missed something. Siobhan was my backup. She was supposed to.
You've got great backup. I do have one question, Mr. Ledbetter. And not for tonight, but at some point, can you help us get a better picture of those providers that are in our zip code that we have to choose from, because I hear a rumor from a lot of teachers that they just don't really have someone here to pick. They have to go to another town. Is that something we could get in the nearest future, Siobhan
Well,
or Denise?
at the very start of enrollment, what we usually do, like John was saying, if we decide to select another provider, we kind of look at all of the providers in this area that they're currently seeing to make sure that they would be able to see those same doctors. So I'm not sure, I'm sure we did that for Blue Cross Blue Shield, but what you're referring to as not being able to see the local providers, they should be able to, but I will say this, and John, you can speak on this as well. Sometimes doctors, are unable to take new patients. That's one of the things that we have seen with one doctor locally. Not that he's not in network, it's just simply he's full.
Gotcha.
It's one of the doctors that a lot of the local people like to see, and at any time they can say, hey, we're at capacity, and so right now we're not accepting new patients. And that can open up the next one. They're like, okay, we can accept new patients. So, but for sure, if we do decide to make any changes, we will definitely make sure that in the zip codes locally that they won't have to travel far, to see.
And to that, to Siobhan's, thank you, Siobhan, that's excellent. That's what I would have said. We can provide you a provider report for this zip code and maybe just the neighboring zip codes right here.
Actually, I think Siobhan answered my question well enough. There's no need for that follow-up.
We would search the providers. We would receive a disruption report from Blue Cross, and they'll provide that to us and to Siobhan, and then we submit that out with the bid specs so that any carrier that's going to send in a proposal, they have to match their network up and do a disruption report, so we would be able to identify any gaps in that network.
All right. Any questions?
I have a couple questions. Is it normal for a 2-year contract? Is that typically what we go out for to lock in? And then is it normal to have that max rate that they can go up? Like you said, 10.5%.
Well, so like the state medical, if I referenced it just as an example, the state can increase the rates across every region, but can't go above 10% based on some guidelines that they have put in place in legislature. But they can increase a certain region more than 10% because they can provide another region lower than 10%. In the fully insured market, it's a 12-month, usually it's a 12-month market. You will get carriers right now that are opportunistic and will offer you a 2-year rate guarantee or a 1-year rate guarantee with a 2nd-year rate cap. And so that is what we see in the market.
And what's causing these numbers, these claim numbers to go up and down? Is there trends that are showing why they're higher or why they're lower? Like you said, in February, we were down to 75.
Yeah, there's a page in there that I didn't reference to you, but you would see it. It's a high-cost claimant page. And so there are claims, the dollar amounts associated to some very large claims are what are in this program. So there's not anything any different from one district of Montgomery to maybe Conroe from normal claims. But a high-cost claimant is going to be one that exceeds $200,000, $500,000, up to $1 million, over $1 million, and you have experienced that.
All right, any other questions?
On the premiums, is there a certain point how many members you have that the price changes?
Well, it's more about how they can spread their risk over the total population to the total claims. So if you're a Burkeville and you have 50 employees but only 25 of them enroll, they opted out of TRS, and it wasn't good for them because after year 1 they got a substantial rate increase, and so it's hard for them to fight off that. So definitely your numbers at 1,000, you have 800 employees enrolled is a good percentage of your employees. It's able to spread the risk. The risk is exceeding your premium of $550,000 a month. To me, it's just it's a number. It's a law of numbers. And so the average is, the claims are increasing above that premium. So your premiums need to increase. If you were to make plan changes, if you look, there's another page in here that I handed out that has out-of-pocket expenses. You'll see that very little of the claims is paid by the employees because the deductible is $1,200 or $2,500. Their max out-of-pocket is $5,000. So the member really, in the grand scope of how much they're really at risk compared to the medical plan that is on the burden of the whole group, as it adds up, is very little per member. And if we started, let's say, well, let's make some medical plan changes to get more, to pass it on to more of the members, which you have to do that sometimes. TRS has done that with higher out-of-pocket maximums and lower co-insurances, so the member has to pay more when they go. It still doesn't add up because the claims are going to be the claim when you have a high-cost claim and you have prescriptions. I don't know if that answers.
Has there ever been like an alliance between other districts to combine together as one customer?
Yes, sir.
How did that work?
It can fail miserably.
Okay.
It can put districts at some serious risk.
Why so?
Why?
Why? Yeah.
That would be typically because the funding of the plan has to be affordable enough for a group to have the appetite to join. And then when the group joins and the claims of the group exceed the premiums, the group's responsible for paying that difference. And you're not going to get a fully insured pool. You're going to get a self-insured pool, which means that self-insured pools come with reinsurance. And reinsurance is just another expense. It's covering the roof. The roof is the ceiling. But who has to pay the claim until it hits the roof? The districts have to pay the claims. And so it's an exposure to some upfront dollars that you have to have liquid because you have to pay claims until you're reimbursed once it hits the reinsurance. And then you're exposed for an unlimited amount that your district would be open up to. So there have been co-ops, interlocals, consortiums in this state. I have one that we will submit it to that has districts, and I'm not opposed to you guys seeing any option. I don't control the options that you're going to see. You're going to see whatever option meets the criteria and is viable, and I want you to select the best option for you. That I have no other desire to help you guys other than that. So I want to protect you is what I would say. Is I will, so that everybody's aware of what contract you're entering into and where the risk is. And that.
Are there any neighboring districts that is part of the co-op that you know of? Or can you say?
No, I mean, I would share it with you. I don't know of any districts that Humble is part of a consortium, but when you're part of some of these consortiums, you're still rated based on your experience. What you're joining in is more of what kind of they consider a captive. They're able to lower the expenses because they have a group of employers, so they can go out to bid for reinsurance and get a better quote on reinsurance because they're using the block. But each group is still rated based on their individual claims and will have different premiums than other groups in the co-op, so they don't all have the same premium. And so that could be an option that you would consider. It's based on your risk tolerance. And so, what that goal is. And so we would provide those options from the results. And
I think I'd like to see the comparison just to see it.
Yeah, I think whenever we put it out for bid, we'll get those back, right? As long as they meet the criteria of what's like going out for a, RFP or RFP for vehicles, right? As long as they fit the criteria of what the RFP is, it's something we can consider. I have a question. So and we've talked previously, a insurance group will look at that 12-month snapshot of what our loss ratio part of it is, right?
The
And
funds.
what are, if we want to look at a path of doing what we can do to control that the best we can, and get on a path to lowering premiums, or at least not be subject or put ourselves in a position to have such a large loss ratio, are there things that we can do to incentivize a certain one of our plans that we offer? So I know there's a high deductible, there's the HMO, there's these things. Is there one of those that we're better off maybe incentivizing employees to go with by funding it differently, or our contributions to help impact this at all? Outside the box, creative solutions, anything like that?
Yeah, no, I think that that's a great question. Employers try to find a way to maybe steer employees into a plan that tends to maybe run better, and that would be the high deductible plan. And as an employer, you can put an incentive that any employee that signs up for the high deductible plan, you would maybe make a deposit into an HSA account. You would maybe be able to bundle some protection from a supplemental plan that you could overall purchase for anybody that picks that high deductible plan, so that they could have money going into an HSA account, a little bit of protection for hospital indemnity. Those are little hospital indemnity plans that you bolt on. Your plan already has telehealth, so members can utilize telehealth built into the Blue Cross plans. But there would be a few things that you maybe could steer members into a plan, and that plan could run better because members that are in that plan are going to have to pay the deductible up front, and the other two plans have co-pays and are kind of user-friendly. You can raise the out-of-pocket maximums on your plans. You can adjust the co-insurance on your plans, and it'll decrease, they'll take some loads off of your premium by making some plan adjustments.
I have one other question, and I think this is really the one that most of our staff would ask, is what, and I would never hold you to anything, it's more just of hypothetically thinking, what are we looking at on an increase in premiums as we move forward? 10%, 20% next year? Just so that we can plan when we work on our budget for next year and how we're going to compensate, how we can, a raise that we're contemplating on giving our staff and so on and so forth, what should we figure that the cost of an insurance premium going up in the coming year?
And I'll add on to that, is there any possibility it would stay the same, or even if we shopped around, reduce our plan? Do you foresee that at all?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that, we alluded to hopefully seeing March might go down. It might not. When we go out to bid, you're going to have carriers that are more willing to pick up this business. So you might see a 25% increase in that range. You could, with a 2-year rate guarantee. So you might be able to negotiate, a 20 to 25% increase, but a 2-year rate guarantee. And they can offer some concessions as well. And I think, if you're 135% over, you're 35% over 100%. And that would mean that they still are at a severe loss. And so they would prefer to be running at 70%. And so you're running at 135, 130. And so I wouldn't want to paint a picture until we get results back. It could be 25 to 30%, 30, 35%.
I just want to confirm, just because I'm, first year on the board, we are locked out of going back to the TRS for another 3 years, correct? We were 5 years total,
So,
from my understanding.
Without hoping on maybe a bill, because there is a bill out there, 2911, whether that bill, if it's passed and what the eligibility is, it's designed to allow groups in 1 year early.
Okay.
Senate Bill 2911.
So that could be 2 years then instead of 3.
Or House Bill 29, House Bill.
Because we're in our second year, correct?
So that would mean that you're gonna start this September. So you opted in or opted out and started your new plan year out on September 1 of 2022. So that plan year runs. Your second plan year was September 1 of 2023. You're in your third plan year right now, and then we'll start the fourth plan year September 1 of 2025.
Okay.
I called Katrina. She says you can come back in on September 1 of 2027. So if they let you in a year early, you'll be able to go back in September 1 of 2026.
Okay, thank you.
And so what we would go out to bid for would be to replace or put Blue Cross into a position that they would lower their increase to not lose it. But most likely you would see favorable options from another carrier because they're going to be more eager to win the business and put a 2-year rate guarantee. Blue Cross is not going to put another 2-year rate guarantee. And you could see that getting you through to 2027. You know, if you were trying to plot it out, if it didn't turn and the claims projection, if it does, you know, if it starts to turn and go down, you'd be able to start making maybe a different decision on whether you wanted to opt back into TRS, because you can do it from one year to the next. Your claims are going up. The height of your claim loss ratio is related to high cost claims. And so we will do every effort to make sure you guys see that every result that would be out there on the market that would be a viable option for you. I'll make sure of that. And that's what I do. So that's not anything different.
All right, board members, any other questions? John, Shavondalan, thank y'all. That's all that we can ask, is that you do the best by our staff and help us make a wise, prudent decision, and that we consider all options and negotiations moving forward. So,
yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, information item 7B, department update, athletics.
All right, I'll welcome our brand new athletic director, Coach LaPlante, down to give us first update. Welcome, man.
Dr. Foley, Dr. Ruffin, thank you for giving me a moment to really not talk about me. It is my update, but it's talking about our coaches and community and more importantly, the kids and what they're doing. I've had a good chance to see a lot of things that they've been doing. But coming into this, I did have a plan of who I felt I needed to have meetings with, get face-to-face time, and just create those relationships to make sure that the good things that we've been doing here in MISD athletics continue. So you see the list of people anywhere from one-on-ones with Dr. Ruffin to group meetings with my 4 high school coordinators and down to partners in this building who have been awesome to me and helped me stay online and stay in task. And so you'll see our department kind of change over to a theme or a motto of building champions. Well, what is it? The logo at the bottom of that stool, I'd like to reference, that is part of building champions. So the stool represents each kid in our program. And you have 3 legs in that stool. You've got the athlete leg, you've got the coach and the school community leg, and the family. Those legs all support the student athlete. We all know that if one of the legs fails, the stool falls. So we want to make sure that within our school walls, within our kids, our coaches, our teachers, our principals, along with our student athletes and their families, we all need to have that shared investment to do awesome things for kids. And so as far as building champions, core values, love, discipline, integrity, and pride. If we are making decisions based on those 4 values, we're going to be just fine. And that's coaches and kids. That's definitely coaches and kids. But being positive and making great choices daily, positive choices generally have positive results. So coaches and kids should be leading and impact each other. If a kid sees somebody down the 9th grade hall having a bad day, we expect them to pick them up, even if they've never met that kid before. It could be a senior and a freshman. That's what building champions is, being that best person there. And it's a lifestyle of giving your best, but also investing in others. And it's not just on the athletic field. It's in the classroom, it's in the community, but certainly in the competition arena as well. But one of my goals of building champions is just to make sure that every kid in our program, every coach in our program has a positive experience. Well, if we're all making those daily positive impacts on each other and great choices, we know good things will happen. So that's definitely a goal of building champions. Prior to the break, I'm sure my employees were happy with this, but I did give them a little homework, gave them a survey. But it's important to me, and it's important to our culture. So I wanted to get to know them, and certainly I've already had met with the coaches, a large group on the Lake Creek side, a large group on the Montgomery side, and certainly I've seen them at games and practices and in the athletic period. But I want to know about their family more, spouse, kids, dogs, what have you. But I want to know why they've been here, what they've been doing here, other places that they've been, years in education, just to get to know more about them, and then get some input back. What are good things that we're doing here? What are some things that, if I give you 3 wish list items, what can you get to do your job better? So that employee feedback and input is going to be very important for me to help retain our great people. And we're going to lose people. There's going to be an assistant coach that's going to go be a great head coach down the road. It's inevitable. They're going to leave but we need to retain those people. We know that. But then the other part about it is, with that input, the next person that comes in, how are we going to recruit the best to come here? But building culture was definitely a part of that survey, just because they need to know that they're important to me. It's tough to be over 4 buildings and get that one-on-one time. So for them to have value coming back to me in print is important. So I'll be reading that over the next couple of weeks. But they need to know that they're important, that the job that they do is important, and that it does not go unnoticed. I did have the opportunity to make between 20 and 30 campus visits, and just some goals with that. Just observe. I want to see the good things that our kids and our coaches are doing in their realm and their exciting place. They need to know that I support them, that I plan on being visible. And that's at all of our campus, to make sure that the 7th grade B team is just as important at the varsity. They're all kids. They're all having fun. They're all doing extra. We know the hours that those coaches and those kids are putting in. So it's important to be visible and promote those kids also on social media. That's a big thing for those kids. And it's a place for me where I'm not with those kids every day to bridge the gap. They research me and they find out, hey, you're from Minnesota. Well, hey, do you know the coach at Northern Iowa? I see you know Coach Frichty. Well, just to bridge that has been very important. And not only have I been able to be in weight rooms and off season and in season and be at games and be in maybe summer strength planning times. I also did, as the picture shows, get to go to the 4th grade classroom over there at Stewart Elementary, and that was probably, I've slept good all nights, believe me. It's been awesome soaking in all the good things, but after an hour and a half with those 4th graders, I slept very well that night. But that brought me back to 2001, because I was an elementary teacher back in 2001. So that was one day that was awesome of many here. But takeaways from my visits. Okay, let's start with the athletes. Okay, they work hard. We have great kids here. We have great kids here. It doesn't matter if it's a weight room session, if they're in a classroom session, they're attentive, they're intentional, they want to get better. They want to get coached hard, they take coaching, and that's why we see the level that we do. I think they compete. I was originally supposed to start on January 15th. Then I started to look at the game calendar. The night before was Motown Showdown on the 14th with our basketball team. So, sorry, honey, I'm going one day early. I have to see this. It was one of the best crosstown rivals that I had seen, from, number one, compete hard, but number 2, respect each other, and just seeing people, and of course I was only in one gym at the end of a game, but to see the way that people interacted, that was exactly what we would expect. You play hard, you have fun, when it's over, and we go back to being community members. That was awesome to see. Then when you get to our coaches, okay, number 1, they love kids. And I think they're kid magnets, and they have their best interests in mind as I go around to the 4 buildings. I think they coach them hard, and they coach them every chance that they get, whether it's just be behind the line, or we're doing something at the free throw line, or again, I probably was in 3 classroom sessions, just talking philosophy or awesome character development things. And then I think they're detail oriented. and they've got a plan for our kids, and that was great to see. Then lastly, on this one here with the parents and community support, certainly the slide there, that's, I've been to a lot of high school softball games. And they've been crosstown rivalries, or they've been one-horse town against the neighboring school. It's been a rival. That's the biggest crowd that I've ever been to at a softball game. That was awesome to see. It was electric. It was good. But that's what our people here are. It's great support. And, as I go around and talk to our coaches about our families, they're involved and they give. So they love our families and what they're doing, and our coaches have a lot of respect for the community here. I think our numbers are great. They're absolutely great. To walk into first period down at one of the junior highs and see 142 lined up, taking attendance and getting ready to go, that is great numbers. I've seen some middle schools before that are in the 70s. And we've doubled that. Those are great numbers. It's a problem when it comes to tryouts. We understand that. But overall, our numbers are really, really great. We do have some facility challenges. Certainly, we've got some fun going on with Brad and his team with construction and summer planning at camps and different things. But our team is doing a great job with that, and we've got a great plan moving forward. We've got some programs that maybe don't fit in all the weight rooms, or they may have to have an outside group, an inside group, and our coaches are doing a great job with that. We do have some aging facilities. That's probably no secret to anybody here. And then we had some fun. I think it was 2 Tuesdays ago, about 9 a.m., where we ended up with a high jump mat up in the goalposts at Montgomery Junior High and some different things. So
high jump mat that jumped.
It jumped. It got up there. So we're assessing that right now, and we've got some teamwork going on with the ag department, trying to weld some crossbars there and some track things, because we really only have one set of pole vault standards that we can use right now for competition. So we got to team it up, and we'll have to travel with some of those and get some of those ready for competition. But I would really like to compliment the people in this building. I still don't have all the hallways and offices and rooms memorized here, and thank God there's a map in our office there. But Jill and Lori have absolutely taken care of me and helped me out a bunch. But it doesn't matter what the department is, from facilities to HR to communication to finances. We've got some great people here. So if they don't have the answer, they're telling me who does. If they don't have it right then, they'll get back. I may call them and say, hey, is there a time today or tomorrow that's good for you? How about right now? I'll come down to your office. That is outstanding to be around those people that will give to each other day in and day out. And they're great listeners. I don't always get a yes. I'm already asking for things. I'm not expecting a yes, but they're listening, and they want to find a way to yes or give a better situation. So continuing on with people here, and again, this is a 7th grade group that was at Montgomery Junior High. That was their summer planning for the strength and conditioning. So just seeing all of our coaches, okay, they want to be the best. They give to kids. Okay, they definitely want to impact others in a positive fashion. Their hard work transfers over to the kids. It goes back and forth. It's so good to see, and I just love our people here that are just genuine. I can't talk about our people enough, but when you talk about our principals, our assistant principals, our teachers, and everybody that really is with the kids daily, when you watch them and you observe them, they're invested in our kids. And even the people that maybe work in this building that we have to leave to go to a campus to go interact with those kids, that same investment is there, just in a different role. But talking to those kids there, that was important for them, I think, to hear from me about what summer training is. Because everybody gets the athletic period. Everybody in the state of Texas is getting that. So whatever those minutes are, it's the same. But what are we doing outside of the athletic period? Because some kids in some communities are going to sit their rear end on the couch all summer, and they're going to come back and they're going to have soft tissue injuries all fall. But our kids won't. I know our kids are committed, and they're going to have a great summer here as we plan. So as I went around and made the visits and just thought about things that I've done, whether it's been at the collegiate level or at the high school level in the directing job, some things that I plan in the months and school years to come here and implement here. The first thing, just Athlete of the Month. I want to celebrate our kids. That's going to be an easy one to implement next year, all 4 of our buildings, and get coaches' recommendations and get great words to talk about our kids and really highlight them. And it's not always going to be the kid that hits the home run or the kid that scores 27 points. It's probably a kid every now and then that has all A's and just is that glue player that keeps everybody together. We want to highlight those kids. That's a great chance to do that. I also want our community to know who our coaches are. So we'll talk about a coach's spotlight so people know, hey, where did you go to college? Why are you in this profession? What is your why? Why are you giving to kids all these hours that you are? I feel a mentoring program for our coaches is very important. That's something that I've done, a one-on-one, and it might be a volleyball, basketball coach. It might be a 17-year veteran with a second-year coach, how they can bounce things off each other. And, it's just different bouncing things off a peer than maybe it is a supervisor. So it's been good where I've been. Also, our younger coaches, in particular first-year coaches, when we get them in the district to properly give them support, because it is overwhelming your first couple years until you get the hang of it. THSCA, I'd like to highlight that, seat at the table. Okay, all across the state and the nation, it's hard to keep female coaches. You see a lot of male volleyball coaches, a lot of male girls basketball coaches. So the THSCA does a program called Seat at the Table. And I'm going to bring that to Montgomery, where we support and empower our female coaching staff. I've already talked to two of our crafty veterans that have helped me plan up that night and definitely do good things with that. And I think that's important to retain our awesome lady coaching staff, but then retain a group in as well. And then other professional development opportunities, whether it's resume review. Everybody does a head coach's academy, but not everybody wants to be a head coach. Somebody out there just wants to be the best assistant that there is, or maybe they want to go down to the middle school and coordinate something there and not be a head softball coach at the high school level, but different opportunities for every employee to get better there. And I think the other thing that's best to come about our kids is going to be the continued academic success, wins, championships. And, I was here right away in February when we had signing date. That was a lot of kids. Then to come to find out how many I missed last fall. When you have 6 or 7 golfers going, to different places, that's a great thing for our kids. But it was great to get around, meet people, invest in relationships in this building, see parents at games, have 7th graders already knowing me by name because I've been to a couple basketball games and seeing them at the athletic period. I mean, that's what I want to create, and I want our coaches to follow that. And we've got great coaches, and they will as well in that all relationship business that we're in, and building the building champions culture in athletics here at Montgomery ISD.
All right, thanks, Coach LaPlante. Any questions?
I have a couple real quick. First I want to compliment you on, I've seen you at a lot of these events, and I just, seeing your face there, seeing you be visible, it's just, it's a welcome sight, and we really, really appreciate that. The real question is, how do we create an environment to where we encourage multi-sport athletes?
It's funny you asked that. We talked about the other day, we're going to create a t-shirt for the multi-student athlete, and it's going to be a big thing that we as coaches have to promote. And again, it's hard to come in at the middle of the year and say this is what we're going to do. Well, when we have our August 6th or August 7th all coaches meeting next year, it'll be absolutely crystal clear that those are our best kids, and we all will promote it, not just at the 7th grade level. I mean, at a couple stops, I've had a girls basketball player and a soccer player. Well, they play always on Tuesdays and Fridays. We made it work. If we did it there, we can absolutely do it here. So it's going to be up to the kids. The kids are going to have to know that it is a possibility. Now, it's going to take some extra time and extra effort. It might have to be, parents sitting down with 2 head coaches and the coordinator of that building, but we can absolutely make those situations work inside our school walls, because that's different than playing club volleyball during the time of your volleyball. When it's us and we control it, we can absolutely make it happen. But it starts with having the culture of we can do it and we want to do it.
I love it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
What about our sports that are really struggling? Swimming, for example. Like, what is your plan to recruit when we're not offering swim lessons? You know what I mean? We offer nothing with our natatorium to recruit into those programs.
Yes, ma'am. And that's been brought up more than once, so I appreciate the candid bringing it up again. So, number one, we're already advertising for an open swim job at Montgomery High School.
Okay.
So that has been
for the coaching job.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. So we've got to find a leader of that program and make sure that we've got the right person in place there. And then I will also be sitting down, it'll be within the next month, to sit down with Lou to talk about, all right, how do we get community things coming into the natatorium?
I think we
So-
were offering swim lessons at one point, and now our families, when we're a swim family, I'm sending them to Magnolia, or I'm sending them to Conroe ISD.
Yes, ma'am.
So
And
I
some
would
of that is
really like
having
to
the
see that
hours
stuff.
available and
Correct,
talking to her
and
about.
we do have the hours available. I would just like to see that offered to our community
Yes,
as this beautiful natatorium that they built, offering, this is a lake community. So just because of that, I would just like to see that come back
Absolutely.
to Montgomery ISD.
And I guess as far as my plan, I need to sit down and find out what is going on at the natatorium.
Because I know
What
some
can
districts
we?
even run neutral budgets with their natatorium. I mean, that's a huge feat, but I would just really like to see at least swim lessons being offered again for our community.
Like it. Great input. Thank you.
Board members, other questions? Coach LaPlante, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And looking forward to great things ahead.
Awesome. Thank you all.
Item 7C, department update from CTE.
Hey, Ms. Vance, come on down.
Sorry, I'm shy. And I'm sorry I'm standing between y'all and dinner, so I will try my best. If you get hungry, there's food in the back. I will speak as fast as I can, so if y'all have questions, write them down, ask them at the end, because I'll be going pretty fast, so you may have a question about something I didn't expand on, but I'm known for expanding well. Tonight, we're going to go over our strategic plan and how the district goals align with our CTE department goals. We've done this every year. This is my 4th time to stand before y'all and give a department update. My first year, I had a community parent sitting right here wanting to hear all about my plans for the CTE program, who's now a school board member. And it was a first for our president to allow him to speak and ask questions. So it was a great opportunity to break me in. I was only 2 months into the school year that first year, so I had lots of lofty goals, but it was nice to set them. So now being towards the end of the school year, I get to reflect on this year and the past 4 years. So we're going to talk about our strategies for goals we've met, what the strategies are to continue to meet those goals. Every year I use this opportunity we have 2 new people that haven't heard my presentation. I use this opportunity to educate on what CTE is and what some of our terminology is. If you hear these words from your students that are in the school or from us talking about them now with the CTE Center. In CTE we have endorsements. All students are required to declare an endorsement by entering the 9th grade. And we also have programs of study now that got added in 2020 to 2021. And we're going to talk about all the programs of study that we offer. And we offer 13 of the 14 current career clusters. We would say 14 of 14, but we don't offer the energy pathway. We have offered it for students, and we haven't had enough students request it to make it viable. These are all the career clusters that we offer, which is a very vast array of career clusters. And like I said, the energy pathway is one that we did put in the course guide last year, and unfortunately it did not make enough to hire a staff member and continue the program. Programs of study, I've kind of explained this before, it's in the next slide too. I kind of say an endorsement, if you know about college degrees, our endorsements are like our Bachelor of Science or a Bachelor of Arts. It's a very broad thing that you're declaring. And our programs of study is what your major would be. So, and the career clusters are kind of like your college. So I had a Bachelor of Science in the College of Ag, and it was agricultural development. So they kind of narrow it down. And when we were in school, they didn't make you choose. You know, you might take home ec one year, you might take ag one year, you might take art, you do other things. And we really are wanting students to narrow it down so that they can build skills that are workforce ready by the time they graduate. And even if they aren't wanting to go into that workforce, they have 4 years of building into that program and those skills that they have certifications and a larger set than just one course worth. More programs of study that we offer. Completers. So the state of Texas started off saying we want every kid enrolled in a CTE pathway. And that was part of the A through F accountability. And all the districts met that pretty quick. And so what TEA likes to do is they like to continue to add things on to build the bar higher and higher and higher, so that districts have to kind of like refocus and figure out how we can set the bar higher each year. And they like to do it in the middle of the school year a lot of times. But they give us warnings. Usually they call it sunsetting, and they give you like a warning year that, hey, we're sunsetting these rules, and in 2 years we're going to start implementing this. And they let us know for quite a few years that we really want you to have completers. So completers are when you have completed 3 courses for 4 or more credits in the same program of study. And now they've tied it through A through F by saying that their industry-based certification does not count on our school report card as being career ready if you are not a completer. And that is starting at next year's, is it next year, this year's graduates? Next year's graduates. And they've given us like a 4-year warning, we need completers, we need completers. Well, that's a challenge for schools because kids become seniors and they want to go to work or go home early or do other things besides continue on in their CTE pathway. So we've had lots of things. We'll show you some data of how we need to get more completers and where we're at right now with that. And once again, when I first got into this 8 years ago, all they cared about is a student was enrolled in a coherent sequence of courses, and that's how you got your point. So they've really started, and they did the same thing with funding. They've now aligned different weights of funding depending on how difficult they believe the courses are. So MISD offers 20 complete programs of studies for our students, which we're pretty proud of. I've kind of made a little diagram right here. So this is what our course catalog looks like in the CTE area. We have the endorsement, we have the career cluster, and we have the program of study. And I've used education and training as an example. Our courses are level 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are our courses offered, our programs of study, and our career cluster. And our practicum in education and training is what we call Ready, Set, Teach, that our students go into the elementaries and junior highs and shadow a teacher and get experience with kids in education. We also offer an industry-based certification, which is an Education Aid 1 through TEA that helps them if they want to go to college to be a teacher's aide at a district, and they have that certification from Montgomery ISD. So our PEMS coding that the state collects from our district, it's called auto coding because we don't code it. The state collects it from how we code our courses, and we code everything in CTE. And that's part of my job, is making sure everything is coded properly, our courses, our students, because they will do, if y'all heard of spring snapshot and fall snapshot, they collect all that data and tell us how many completers and concentrators. Non-CTE students are coded, participants, explorers, concentrators, and completers. We want completers. They've completed a pathway, which is 3 courses for 4 or more credits at least. Concentrators are so they started out saying a student must be a participant, which is just in a course, in at least 1 course. Explorers means they're taking courses in multiple pathways. They're more than 1 course in multiple pathways, but they're not really 2 or more aligned. Concentrators is they have 2 or more courses in the same program of study, but they're not a completer. So right now for our certifications to count, they have to be a concentrator. They've given us a warning. And then by next year, for our certifications to count towards our school report card on students being college ready, they must be a completer for next year. But this year, they have 1 last year to be a concentrator. I'm going to go over all of our districts, our strategic plan goals, and how CTE is aligned to it. I have my coordinator, Ms. Tony Tennyson. She's been a big help to get all of our goals met and our data that we have and everything that we've been improving on every year. She's the hands-on deck with the teachers in the classroom and a lot of really amazing programs that we offer. Our first goal 1 is academic achievement for Montgomery ISD. And the specific part with CTE is our CCMR score and our A through F. We have CTE dual credit opportunities. We also have trainings. We provide trainings to our teachers and our staff on what the current A through F is, because like I said, it is changing year to year of what TEA wants for how to get an A-rated district. And we also talk about our facilities being up to standards to have an A district for our students to be career ready and college ready. And that's how our CTE Center falls into place that we're meeting this goal. Our next goal is our industry-based certifications. We're going to talk about a few of the ones that we've offered, and we're going to show over the years where we've stood with that. Ms. Tennyson's going to come up and talk about it. So she's a key person with these certifications. She is helping train teachers. She goes in the classroom and proctors exams. She helps them get the right curriculum that they need ordered to be successful in their certifications. And I'll show you all the data in a minute, but when I stood in front of you year one, we were looking at 5% of our graduating seniors, which is 32, that had an industry-based certification. And our last accountability taper report is actually for the class of 2023. We're 2 years lagging, and we were over 60% of our graduating seniors with industry-based certifications, and that's a lot of my effort, but I'm only one person in this amazing district, so it's been a really big help having a coordinator go in there and be hands-on with the teachers. So she's going to come talk about our industry-based certifications really quick.
Short mic. Hey, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Tony Tennyson. I'm the CT coordinator. Amy and I got hired into the district the same year. So it's been great for these last 3 years working alongside her and being there through the very beginning with Marino and everything with the CT Center and seeing that finally come to fruition and the name and everything. So it's really great. So we have over 80 teachers in CTE and 96% of our kids are enrolled in a CTE pathway and course. So that's a majority of our district. Last year, 9th through 12th graders, we had over 850 certifications that were earned by our students. They do great. And my main role is to make sure that the school board and Amy's vision for CTE is coming to life by supporting our teachers, who then can turn and support our students. And every year we've added more IBCs. So these are all of the IBCs that we offer in the district. So once a kid gets to about their junior year, that's when they're in these courses that are eligible to prepare for their certifications. And the teachers who teach these all have industry experience. They know what it takes to pass these certifications, and they do a great job preparing the kids for these certifications. And these are not just your run-of-the-mill certifications. These are nationally or state recognized things like certified medical assistant, our EMT program, all of our floral design certifications, certified vet assistant. It goes on and on. Anyway, so it's been really great to work with these teachers. Every year we add more. In fact, today I was at Lake Creek talking to a kid who's going to be our first kiddo to earn his non-commissioned security officer certification in the district. So I'm really proud of our teachers, and that's my main role here, is to just take those visions that Amy has for CTE and put those together. 850 certifications, if you don't know, that equates to probably about 43% or so, correct me if I'm wrong. Our state average is way lower than that. And so we hit the mark way above what what the state is. Sorry, Amy, I'm totally messing this up. Help me. Got it. I don't know.
There's a slide that has
It's lagging. There we go. 43%, state average is 31. So we're always above that. And our completers, yeah. And we hit the mark above IVCs also. So we're doing really well in that realm. Is there anything else I forgot to mention? Nope. Do you want me to talk about the workforce? While I'm up here, another big role I have is to reach out. So when they first brought me on board as a CT coordinator, we went to the Chamber of Commerce to really try to strengthen those industry partnerships in the community. And it started with here and there, some companies participating with Montgomery ISD in our CT programs, and now we have a list. These are just some of them. They host our kids for internships. They provide training to help prepare these students for their certifications, and they really give these kids a good insight into what it takes to be successful in their chosen career after graduation. And so most of them are all local, and so we're honored to have them host our practicum kids, do their internships. We also partner with Sam Houston State University and Lone Star College, so that we do tours of their programs, especially for our kids that use CTE as their main way to become workforce ready, like our automotive and construction kids. Those kids traditionally don't participate in a lot of dual credit and things like that, and so they use that certification to enter the workforce. And so we partner with those post-secondary entities. We even have a medical school in Conroe, which a lot of people don't know. So we take all of our healthcare kids and we bring them to the medical school so that they can see that this is an option. They don't have to travel to another state. They have one, the College of Osteopathic Medicine right here in Conroe. So it's just to expose them to those things. And so those are industry partnerships, vital in any CT program. Any questions for me? No?
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
It is going forward instead of backwards.
I knew I wasn't.
I know. I'm trying to go backwards.
Diana, help us.
The top button? I am pressing the top button. Found it. So we were talking about our goals with these industry-based certifications. We want to make sure that we're continuing to align our current programs as well as our future programs. So we went in at this school year, we added automotive, welding, and construction to our campuses, so that when we open the CT Center, we'll have 2 years worth of a cohort instead of one. So we have introductory level courses. So we're already starting to look at curriculum and industry certification alignment with those programs. So by the time they're juniors and seniors, we can have what they need to be prepared for those industry certifications. And we make sure we're purchasing the correct software and required teacher training, which is what Ms. Tennyson has been doing. We kind of skipped over this, but I want you to look at this for a little bit. I think we're doing amazing. We did a big jump at the beginning, but we're still increasing every year and also continuing to stay above the state average. We dropped a little bit in 2022. There are lots of variables, in case someone wants to ask me that, of things that change. They are changing our list quite frequently. So they evaluate our current list and industry standards, and there's people at TEA giving input of what they feel like our students should and shouldn't be doing. They took OSHA off, which I feel like is an industry standard for a lot of industrial careers. OSHA 15, 30, 10, none of it is on the industry-based certification list. So they're constantly adding and taking away what they feel like is something that they can utilize for these taper reports. But we have to continue to alter and make sure our programs are aligning with TEA standards throughout this. We still give certifications that aren't on that list because we feel like our kids need that to be prepared for the industry. We get lots of feedback in our advisory committees that we have meetings in the fall and the spring, and that's one of our biggest things is they might mention a certification that isn't on there. For example, our Serve Safe food handling, all of our culinary kids get that because they're working in kitchens and learning how to be safe with food, and that is not on the list. The restaurant manager is, which they also get. So we're pretty proud. They just now started putting data on the taper report for completers because they're giving you a warning, here's how many completers you have, and the only way your certifications are going to count for 2025 graduates is if they're a completer. So it's great that we have 62% IBCs, but they're going to start making sure you have to be a completer for those to count. So across the state, everybody's are going to drop as well because everyone's going to have to meet up to that bar to make sure kids are completing their programs of study. We do our industry needs and workforce through our advisory committee. We meet twice a year. Some of y'all have been there, and we really appreciate all the support at those advisory committees. We also are looking at our enrollment to see what we need to add. If we We're adding lots of junior high credits. If anyone has seen any of our junior high offerings or have students in those, that's a big part. Those feed into our high school pathways. So the more offerings we can offer in the 8th and 7th grade for high school credit, it exposes kids early on to our programs that we offer at the CTE Center and at the high schools so that they can get a leg in early. And if they decide they don't like it, they've got an extra year to choose and change their mind. So that's a big part about building our high school programs is at the junior high level and adding those courses. Career and technical student organizations, FFA is the most popular, but we have them in all of our pathways. BPA, Business Professionals of America, FFA, FCCLA, our robotics, our VEX robotics. These organizations really draw kids in where they get to be competitive against kids with their same skills and their interest. So that's a way for us to also try to get kids in our program is increase enrollment. So District Goal 3 is finance and operations. That's everybody's favorite topic. And we've talked about how my very first goal here was allocating a budget. So every year we have to make sure we're allocating a budget across the campuses and departments for CTE. We want to make sure it's comparable between all 4 campuses. So the high schools, and we make sure it's comparability to the enrollment, the amount of students, the cost of the programs, the technology needed. So there's lots of things that we have to make sure whenever we're allocating the budget for CTE. We get teacher input as well. Is there something they need that they're not getting? Is there a wish list item they have, a big list? All of our technology needs, we're trying to make sure that we're keeping the technology up to date with replacement of all of our computer labs and technology and equipment. At the end of the school year, we have an April 1st deadline for all of our teachers to have their purchase orders in so that we can evaluate the money that's left and properly allocate with all of our needs of our programs. And there it is right there. I always do this a real quick of how our CTE weighted funding is. So if we have a course that's not in a program of study, it still gets a 1.1 multiplier. So 1.0 would be just like a kid sitting in a science class. So even if they're not in a program of study, this course still gets a little bit. All of our courses that we offer now align in a program of study, so they're all going to be a 1.28 or higher. That was our first thing, was getting rid of some of the courses that are just exploratory courses for CTE. So we're starting at 128, which is a level 1 or 2 in a program of study. Every course aligns in Montgomery ISD. 1.47 is the multiplier, which is almost 1.5 of the funding if it's a level 3 or 4 course. The level courses are determined by TEA, not us. So here's an example of how TEA has told us what courses are weighted which levels. And you could offer all level 4 only if you wanted, but a lot of the prerequisites are the principal's courses in the early on. So I show this as an example, and by the way, Ben's probably cringing in his seat when I show this because it's not this simple. There's a lot more factors that go into trying to get funding, but this is the simple version of how our CTE funding goes. An FTE is 1/6 of a class period. So if it's one period, it's 1/6, which if you put that into a decimal point, it's 0.167. So if it's 2 periods, you've got 0.33. You've got 2/6, which is a third. Our basic allotment from the state right now is 6160, and we have people fighting, trying to increase that. And I think they're trying to push just for $200 more per kid. Not talking politics anymore, but our current basic allotment is 6160 for every student, 1 full FTE. So the way we do our math is the FTE times the basic allotment times the weighted multiplier. We also factor in attendance. So their attendance rate for that course, and it's by course for CTE, is also what affects funding. So as an example, if they're in a livestock production course, that was a level 3 course, they will get the 1.47 weighted multiplier. So we multiply 1 FTE, that's just 1 class period, there's 100 kids in it. We get 16.7 times 6160, which is every kid gets that. 1.47 multiplier, we're just gonna say a 95% attendance rate, which is our goal, and that comes out to 100 students in livestock production, brings the district $143,660. And that's really helpful for the district generating funds from CTE. 55% go directly back to the CTE programs and classrooms and staffing and curriculum, and then 45% get to go back to the district to utilize in other areas. Also, not an exact number, but just as a comparison, a non-CTE course, 100 kids enrolled would bring 97,000. So we're looking at almost $50,000 more dollars just on 100 kids in a CTE course to the district. Our annual summary of finances, we get a report from TEA and they update it throughout the year, and we get what's called a final report. It's usually in the fall, around September, for the previous school year. So when we run our budget in July, we're still running off of last year's. We don't have a final report from the state on what we get. So the number right next to the years is our FTEs, our full-time equivalents. So 1/6. So that's how many students we had in CTE, FTEs we had, and our budget that we got from the state. And as you can see each year how it has increased. And right now, our current FTE, which is on attendance, it's factored in our attendance rate and our enrollment. We get every grading period, we get a report back from the state of what we're at. We're at 1431, and right now, the projection from the state this year that we will end up getting 12 million for the district. So it's quite a big jump from whenever I got here in 2021 till now, and some amazing things that we've had going on in the district with the support of the school board, the community, administration, and everything. District Goal 4 is human capital. The biggest thing I could say in CTE is we want to provide professional development trainings. That's what I stand up here and say every year. They're very specialized positions, and it's not like they can just go to a training on how to be a better math teacher. Everybody has an individualized, and sometimes they're a singleton. They're the only person that teaches that subject. So we try to find them and provide them with opportunities for professional development across the state. From last summer till now, we sent 32 CTE teachers, which we're pretty proud of, to very content-specific trainings between any of our staff, CTE staff. And we want to continue to make that number rise every year to make sure that they feel prepared for the content that they're teaching. We also have implemented CTE stipends to help teachers feel incentivized for what they're doing in the classroom and with our CTE programs. So these teachers that are giving these industry-based certifications, if they have an 85% pass rate in their courses, they get stipends. Also, if their students advance past the local level to region and state and nationals, they get stipends and incentives for that. The teachers work really hard to prepare these students for all of these different things. And that was some big feedback we had from our CTE teachers, was that having more stipends available specifically for them. You know, they're not coaching sports and they're not training UIL teams, but they're working really hard after school, before school, weekends with these teams and doing all kinds of amazing things that we wanted to reward them. So this is our 3rd year of implementation with this. And we have stipends, some that are available twice a year, some are once a year, but they are in December and May. Communications, District Goal 5. Our advisory committee, we consider that as part of our communications. Our advisory committee, we invite parents, students, school board members, all of our community stakeholders, business. We have people from the colleges to give us feedback. We give a report, just like I'm doing now on our current programs, and we also get feedback from all of these different stakeholders. What are some things you'd like to see in our programs? What are some good things we're doing? What are some things you wish we could see? And what is aligned with their industries? So that's one of our biggest communications with the community. Also, social media. I always say this: you can't come watch us like you can watch sports. So our biggest thing we can do is advocate on social media of what awesome things we're doing in the classrooms in our laboratory spaces with CTE and all of our competitions. So we want to make sure you get that word out, and that's also Ms. Tennyson's job as a coordinator, is updating that Facebook. So every time you see a post, she's doing a great job with that, on making sure we're getting lots of good things out to the community that we're doing. Finished. I want to give a second before y'all ask tons of questions. I've taken lots of questions over the years. When I stood here first, I was never a CTE director before. So Montgomery has given me 4 amazing years. As many of y'all know, I will not be coming back next year. And I want to thank all of y'all, the school board. Some have been here, some are new, for all of your support for our CTE programs and everything that I've done, as well as Montgomery ISD administration. And I want to ensure a smooth transition, and until the day I walk out the door and the new person starts, I will be advocating for Montgomery ISD CTE, the CTE Center. I think it's an amazing community, an amazing place, and I appreciate everything that y'all have done for me over the last 4 years. And I will always be I'll always be a big fan and a supporter of this district and everything that it stands for. And that's all I'm going to say. So any questions y'all have now that I can answer?
Ms. Vance, I will take the first one. If y'all don't mind, I'd like to take the last one too. First question that I have would be, so that we can help with that transition, what advice would you give to a new CTE director about the vision you have for Montgomery ISD? Because they're probably going to watch this video at some point if they're smart about preparing for their interview.
So once again, I remember 4 years ago, in April mid-morning, I sat at Montgomery Steakhouse with community members, school board members, and everybody was telling me their ideas, how amazing Montgomery ISD was. This is what we want with this. This is what we want a CTE center, and this wasn't even in a bond yet. These were just ideas of all these supporters, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? As an ag teacher, I interacted a lot with community members and parents, and I was always very visible, but I was like, wow, they're very involved. And every time I get in front of y'all and speak with y'all, I really appreciate the hard questions, and that's something that y'all are passionate about CTE, and you want to know, and you want the community and all of the stakeholders to also have their questions answered, and that's why y'all are there. So I've always appreciated the hard questions, and every time you're always like, I'm sorry, no, I love it, it doesn't bother me at all, no question's gonna rattle me. But I think the biggest thing is everything that I've envisioned, everybody has been on board with. Most of my envisions have come from Montgomery ISD and the other goals from all the other departments. So I think the biggest thing is to continue to grow, to continue to be innovative, using the CT Center, but don't stop there. Like, the programs are endless that we can offer there and what we can do. We're just at the cusp of beginning CT in Montgomery ISD. Like, this is year 4 of having a CTE director. 20 years from now, I can't imagine how amazing it's going to be. The biggest thing I could give them was listen to your stakeholders and your community and your school board. And the superintendent at the time, Justin Marino, remembers this. One of my biggest downfalls was using the word I. I have a vision. I think this. But here at Montgomery ISD, it's a we. There's no I. We, as Montgomery ISD, this is what our vision is. So it's not about me, and it never was about me, but sometimes I felt like I was on an island when I first started out, and it came across, I was very passionate, and it was trying to tell people, here's what CTE is, I'm so excited, everyone needs to love CTE, and everybody's got on board and done that, so now it's definitely a we. There's no longer an I of my vision, it's definitely a we vision, and every chance they can get, they need to be promoting CTE and enjoying the we in Montgomery ISD.
Thank you, Ms. Vance. Questions?
So I just want to give a personal thank you to both of you two for this explosion that we've gotten to watch over the last 4 years. It's just been absolutely amazing, so exciting for our students. I do have a question that I tend to ask every year because I hear something about it every year, and that is, we see on the administrative side how exciting all these pathways are and all these options, but we do have students that go, this is overwhelming to me, and I feel like in 9th grade or 8th grade, whatever, that I have to choose, and what if I don't like it? And so there's a pressure, and then some parents are feeling that as well. So what do you say, and what's the help for that?
So one of the biggest things we've implemented this year is a 4-year planning piece. And it's kind of like an academic advising piece that we're starting with where they can see the 4-year plan built out. If you want to end up going to the CTE Center, you can see your courses that you're going to have to get there. So part of having that, CTE's really helped implemented these 4-year plans. They call them PGPs. It's a personal graduation plan. And all students must have one of those. And they've always been in Skyward, but we wanted something a little more transparent and easier to use for students and parents, and a place to go back and look at, a place for changes. And as we implemented this, myself and Ms. Tennyson, mainly Ms. Tennyson because I'm getting pulled in lots of CTE Center directions, we got to work hands-on with the junior highs and the 8th grade during this process. And that was definitely the feedback. I don't know what I want to do. Oh my gosh, I don't know what classes I want. And this online This online platform really helps guide students and parents of like questions and answers like, hey, I might want AP classes this year. Well, let's see what 4 years looks like built out of starting out with the advanced English in 9th grade and all the way through. And it really tied together our CTE options with our academic options to see it all the way through. If you're gonna have to make choices or not, it's not all of a sudden senior year you're trying to choose between A and B. You get to map out your 4-year plan and really start to make choices. And we really emphasized it's okay to change your mind. Let's start out with a plan. And it's okay freshman year to change your mind and decide this really isn't for me. And I've talked about that before. That's what the amazing thing about is having all these career options in high school is it may expose you earlier on before you became 20 years old, 2 years into a program, a technical school or a college, and realize this isn't for me. So that's the beauty of it is we've really tried to educate a lot more and show them it's okay to change your mind and helping calming all the nervousness. We've really experienced that a lot and saw what the counselors and teachers and people are seeing, and just to help walk them through that with this new software.
Thank you.
I've got a couple things. This is just one of the remarkable things that public education can do for our students. And I want to make sure that that's known. This is being done in public education through our CTE programs. We saw way back when that we needed to invest as a school district, as a school board, that we needed to invest in CTE and to see what's being built around the corner from here and to see it come to life. I think when it was talked about in these bond planning meetings that it was going to hopefully be the crown jewel of the community. And I think anybody that drives by there and when it starts to open up and everybody gets to truly see what this facility is going to be able to do for our community and our students. I can't thank our community enough back to the 2022 bond that supported it. This thing didn't just barely pass. It passed with flying colors. And it showed the support that we had from our community. And to see it come to life is just, it's really awesome. I was one of those guys that sat at Montgomery Steakhouse with Miss Vance back 4 years ago. And I will tell you that there's probably not two more passionate people about CTE and these programs than Ms. Vance and myself. And we probably didn't see eye to eye on some of these issues in the very beginning. But what I will tell you is the growth that you've made, the growth that the entire process, your entire department, I can't be more thankful for what you've done, your vision, your overall passion. I'm truly thankful to be able to say today that I'm a friend, and if there's anything that you need as you move on, I'm just a phone call away to help you in whatever it is.
Other questions for Ms. Vance?
Yes. I was also there for that breakfast, and when
Not a board member either at the breakfast.
When you walked in the door, I thought, well, what is she going to do? Well, let me tell you, over the past 4 years, you have taken our CTE department and made it fruitful. Under your leadership, well, we just saw the numbers, so, you know, we know how much it's grown. So for that, thank you. My question is, the only way that this program succeeds is through recruitment. And if we're not recruiting properly, then we can't keep feeding the program. So before you move on to your next endeavor, what will you do to implement the recruitment within our junior highs to make sure that we're getting all the kids that we can retain? And then secondly, are we able to introduce other classes other than just the intro to ag science or intro to that? I mean, is there anything else that we can bring into the junior high level that will enhance the interest of CTE?
Well, one of the reasons, I hope I answer all your questions, but one of the reasons why the numbers are so high this year was the junior highs, we unblocked some of our core classes that were tested subjects. So we had double blocked math, some double blocked ELA classes, and we had to get creative with some of those staff. You know, some of those staff, in order to retain those staff that were amazing for Montgomery ISD, we created some CTE courses that we thought they would excel in. And they're like courses like Dollars and Cents, which is about your everyday math that junior high kids can use. Lifetime Nutrition and Wellness, which is talking about, you know, health and wellness. They're high school credit courses. So we also were utilizing staff. That's why a lot of our numbers were higher. It opened up in the junior high students' schedules for more courses as well. And y'all know from my implementation, that was my biggest thing for recruitment was we have to start adding more CTE courses at the junior high. And we've added a little more every year. We added, I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago, we added law enforcement at the junior high. It is going to be at the CTE Center, and sometimes the numbers dwindle down. We had an amazing teacher that was a veteran teacher that's gone now, Valerie Krazan, and she did a lot for that program. But in order to continue to recruit and retain, we added at the junior high the principles of law enforcement and public safety to kind of start maybe drawing them into the program so that when it's by the time the CTE Center opens, we've got bigger numbers, as well as different certifications offered for it, like she was saying, our level 1 security officer, our telecommunications certification. And so I think the biggest thing at junior high, what has helped us is with that software that's the 4-year planning, the graduation plans, because it starts to get the kids excited when they start talking about it. That's why they get overwhelmed, because they haven't had those conversations. I don't know what I want. But they have to start, because the courses that we're putting there, just like advanced level college classes, they have prerequisites. You can't all of a sudden, senior year, be like, I want to go work on cars. You're going to be at the principals courses. So we're trying to expose them early on to as many principals courses as possible, but also make the reality, here's what your plan will look like in high school if you want to go to that CTE Center. I think a biggest recruitment tool is going to be the CTE Center once it's up and built, to do 5th grade tours. So start recruiting earlier on in 5th grade, so when they start to get in junior high, having those conversations, taking CTE classes, they're looking. So like a 5th grade career expo at the CTE Center would be awesome. As well as the 8th grade tours will be at the CTE Center along with their high school. So if it's a Montgomery Junior High, they'll go part of the morning at the CTE Center, part of the morning at the high school. So I think it's going to be really big. This is a real big, all state-of-the-art facility. Right now, the students have nothing to look at. So we've tried different things like showing them pictures of what other CTE centers look like. Like, here's what an automotive program is going to look like. Here's really cool. And we have renditions as well from Huckabee. So we've tried to like get them enticed and get them excited. And we think once the building is there, it's going to be a lot more. I think that's a very important question to ask the person that's taking over. Is what type of innovations and plans do you have for recruitment with this CT Center to continue? Because I have lots of great ideas, but I think that's a key thing with whoever takes over this position is to continue that recruitment and sustain it. We're building a $62 million building, and we need kids to go in it. You know, we have to continue the hard work that we've put to get those numbers that were on that slide. If you ever back down the hard work, the numbers are going to go down too. So.
Well,
Any other questions I didn't ask?
I can tell you from being in that meeting, on the naming meeting the other day, I don't know if the students that were brought in were all in CTE already. They were? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, they were all excited, so I guess that's why.
They are seniors, so they were really excited they're not going to get there. But the good thing is they go back and talk to their friends. The communications department, Mr. Marino and I, we went into the culinary classrooms just to get ideas about what if we want to name the bistro and, you know, name the restaurant. And some of them had mixed classes. So there was some juniors in there, some seniors, some had sophomores. But hearing them light up, some of them were like, I don't know what it's going to look like. So there is a lot of questions still and educating that we still need to do. But once that building's built, it'll really help promote and push that. But every time you start having conversations around those students and educating them and getting the pictures and the ideas and what the possibilities are, which are endless for that CTE Center and all the opportunities for kids, they really do start to open their eyes and get excited, like on that naming committee, like, oh, we had no idea we'd have all these really neat opportunities. And they were even asking questions. We had some robotics kids asking about the robotics arena and getting really excited about that as well, that the kids are going to have that opportunity because they have little makeshift robotics areas at both campuses right now in classrooms.
Board members, other questions?
Thank you, Amy.
I've got going back to that slide, you don't have to go back to it, but the FTEs and the increase in the funding that was attached to it, I think the projected one this year was $12 million. And I think it's important to know, and Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, but opening Creekside Elementary in August, the light bill, the utilities, all of that hits our general budget. That is extra expenses that we have to cover. All of those costs at the CTE Center can come directly from these funds, correct? So it's not truly an increased cost. We have to find ways to spend this amount of money each year, and that's 55% of that number. And when it comes to funding, I will say that one thing the state has done a pretty good job of is funding the career and tech pathways, and it has resulted in this, but there's a ceiling in that, right? There's only so much you're gonna be able to do, and then you get this money that you have to allocate specifically. So hiring staff can come from these funds. It's not just, well, now we can go buy $1 million of robot equipment because we've got to spend this. It's not how that works. Y'all do a great job of finding very intentional and meaningful ways to operationalize these funds in a way that benefit our districts and grow our programs. So thank y'all for that. I just wanted to recognize that opening the CTE Center doesn't necessarily mean that now you guys are just incurring all these costs already. Well, we have funding for that. So
Most districts are about 90% of that 55% goes towards payroll and staff. And so it looks like big numbers, but it takes a lot of, very highly qualified people to staff CTE programs in all ways, whether that's, like you're saying, a janitor of a CTE center. Everybody is contributing in some way to career and technical education. And I've talked about it before, adding those junior high classes, they're getting that weighted funding, but they don't have laboratory spaces. So you've got that extra money they're generating that you can utilize on these upper level programs that do cost a lot. So that's one of the benefits, is all you might have for them is their starting cost with curriculum or a computer lab that you don't have to replace every 5 years. So that's one of the benefits when you add the younger grades, is they don't cost a lot to operate. And you can then push that money up to the upper level.
Second to last comment, Mr.
I got one more thing I want to say. We talked about, when Mr. LaPlante was talking about creating an environment where we encourage multi-sport athletes. I would also encourage to have not only athletes, but people in our CTE programs, to where we welcome those two programs to work together. And I think we do a good job of it, but I think there's still room for growth there as we move forward to cross those two programs together.
All right, I asked for the last comment on it. I'm going to take it if y'all are okay. Are any other questions? It's already been said by Mr. Robb and Mr. Wynn, and everyone on this board feels the same way, Ms. Vance, and Dr. Ruffin, as well as other people that you've worked with throughout the years. You always have a place here. You have left an indelible mark on not just this district, but this town. I, too, consider you a friend, and I want you to know that at any point, if you want to come back and tour, if at any point you want to come teach a class, at any point you're welcome here. And I just want to say a sincere thank you.
Don't be calling me for ag teacher openings, guys. I'm retired.
A sincere thank you, and give you a round of applause. So thank you. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it's 8:15. Let's adjourn.